Hi, everybody. It's Heath Davis Havlick back for another episode of Enneagram Book Reviews. And I am going to be looking today at the new hardback revised version of Marilyn Vancel's Self to Lose, Self to Find. I'm going to start off with a quote that she puts right at the beginning of the book by one of my absolute favorites and many people's favorites, C.S. Lewis. The more we let God take us over, the more truly ourselves we become, because He made us. He invented us. He invented all the different people that you and I were intended to be. It is when I turn to Christ, when I give up myself to His personality, that I first begin to have a real personality of my own. Isn't that wonderful? I love it so much. So I love this whole book, as a matter of fact. So let me tell you just very briefly how I feel about it, and then we'll get into what is actually in the book. This book is engaging and it, pulls you forward, but it's not a quick read in the sense that you can just plow through it, because you have to stop now and then and just cry for joy or whisper, "Thank you, God, that this is true." It's just a delicious, yummy book that you have to savor. Marilyn Vancel is a 9, and you definitely get that beautiful 9 let's hang out vibe from her, where she's put out the beautiful 9 welcome mat, and you are just coming into her world and hanging out in the beauty and grace of the Enneagram and of God. So that's really why I love it. Sometimes there are books. One of the first books that I read on the Enneagram, it's the second or third one, was not gracious at all. It was kind of harsh, actually. And if it had been the first book I'd read, I might not have kept going, really, because there was, not a lot of love or welcoming going on there. So this is just a beautiful opposite to that. And there are many quotes in this book, and I used a ton of quotes in my book. I love them. They just really help encapsulate what it is you're trying to say. And she has great ones all the way from, C.S. Lewis to John Calvin to Dr. Seuss. So that's one of the things that you're really going to be able to enjoy if you do end up getting this book. All right, so now let's look at what's actually in it. The book is divided into 5 sections. The original was 4, and this one is 5, and things got moved around some. And so the first section is called Understanding Our Human Dilemma. And that is completely aptly named, because we absolutely have a dilemma about being human and trying to figure out who we are and what we're here for. All those deep existential questions that people have to face at some point in their lives. So that's the first section. And then the second section sets the scriptural foundation for the Enneagram journey with this brilliant exposition of Luke 9:23, where she describes what it means really to deny your false self and to take up your cross and follow Jesus and find yourself, the true self, right? So that also was just really yummy. And then the third section does this lovely job of introducing the Enneagram, and it includes what she calls the authentic and the adapted versions of each type. So we would also call that, the true and the false self in a lot of the Enneagram teachings. So she also gives a quick reference chart for each one of the types at the end of their section, and so that's nice as well. And then in this section, Marilyn discusses the 3 centers of intelligence, the social styles, which are also called the Hornevian groups, particularly in the Riso and Hudson trainings and books, named after a psychologist named Karen Horney. And that's super helpful. Then she also talks about the wings and the directions of integration and disintegration and the dominant instincts. So you get the whole basic summary of the Enneagram. So if you haven't read about the Enneagram before, this is a great beginning book. And if you have read about it before, you either can, skip that section, or you can just get it from a different perspective, or just get that information reinforced. This certainly was not the first book on the Enneagram I read, but I still just love it and recommend it to people. So section 4 has prayers of confession and consent for each type, which I think is beautiful. So because I am a 7, I am going to read you the prayer for type 7, so you get an idea of what these are like. Okay. Lord, I confess I am attached to my quest for excitement and adventure in order to fill my life with only pleasurable pursuits. I believe the lie that I will be happy if I always have something to anticipate, if I'm not limited and I keep a positive attitude. I confess I keep my mind busy with plans and dreams so I can keep the harsh realities of life out of my awareness. I don't want to see my shadow side or feel painful emotions. I confess I fear being trapped and deprived, and I resist whatever threatens my happiness. I hold on to my freedom and do whatever I find appealing and stimulating. This keeps me from trusting you as the one who satisfies my deepest longing to experience all that life holds for me. I claim that my gift of optimism and my abilities to imagine possibilities for a future without suffering are reflections of your true joy and abundance. I surrender to your gracious presence in my life. You alone can redeem me and make me new and full of true joy. Isn't that beautiful? Ah, I love this book. So that's section 4, and then the last section, section 5, describes Marilyn's own up practice for loosening that grip of the adapted self or the false self. And own up is an anagram, so each one of those letters represents a word. That's one of the steps in her process. And I'm not going to tell you what it is, because now you have to go buy the book and find out. So let me just tell you very quickly the differences. So this is the original book that I got 4 years ago. It's paperback, right? It was self-published by Marilyn. Love the cover. It's a great book, has almost all the same content. This book has a few additional thoughts here and there, and again, is just arranged a little bit differently as well. Yeah, and then in this book, she added information on the social styles of the Hornevian groups, as I mentioned earlier. So the paperback's her original. You can still get it on Amazon, but you also can get this new revised version in hardback on Amazon, and the ebook is also this version as well. Now, because these books are so similar, I don't need to. So I'm giving this one away. It's brand new. I didn't even mark in it, and it can be yours. So look down below in the notes for information on how to enter. It's mostly going to be Twitter and Instagram, but if you don't have an account for either one of those, then there's another way you can enter as well. So just look at the information below. And I've also got a link to my original blog post that reviewed this book 4 years ago, and then there's also a link to this book and some other links that you might find helpful as well. All right, thanks very much for tuning in, and please, if you liked this, found it useful, hit that like button. If you didn't like it, as always, please don't just hit the don't like and take off. Please let me know why you didn't like it, what I can improve so that I can serve you better, and also let me know if there is a specific book that you would like me to review, and I'll see if I can make that happen. And also, yeah, if you want to subscribe, go ahead and do that as well. I put out videos about once a week at most, so I will not overwhelm your inbox. All right, so enter that contest, and I hope you have just a lovely rest of your day, and hope to see you next time. Bye-bye.